We Love Hip Hop.
I got on the thumbnail a picture of this guy, and let me see if I can find his name here. There's he's part of a crew called the BFM crew. Okay, not BMF, BFM. All right, I actually spoke about him not too long ago on this live stream. All right, let me pull this up over here on the screen before we get started, because Six Tails just dropped a new video about these guys, and they're like beefing with the Hells Angels in Montreal, catching crazy bodies. Like, we discussed this over here on the stream, but I was watching some news reports about this shit, and this other gentleman who did a little breakdown. But when these guys, Six Tails, drop a video, I got my notifications on for this shit. These guys killed it, figuratively killed it, like WW video when it comes to this. And he also gave me some a little bit of behind the scenes of this guy. So this is the video. This is not the video itself, but this is the person I'm talking about. See this gentleman right here? This is the gentleman in question. Yo, leave me alone when I go to Montreal, bro. I ain't trying to get into, these niggas just sound, I know niggas in Toronto are dangerous, but for some reason I just feel like these guys just like, they look like they like to kill. Like they love it. Et je fais tout ça sans laisser de trace. Tu vas crever, je peux retirer mon masque. C'est pas de ma faute, j'ai rien connu d'autre. La rue, c'est tout ce que j'ai. Ils voudraient me voir crever pauvre. Every minute that I play of the video, like, my heart is beating, bro. Jesus Christ. How many views is? What's the views, bro? 471,000 views? Holy shit. Okay, let's get to the video here. I feel like every minute that I play of this video is an incriminating moment, bro. Let's go to Six Tails. I feel like every minute is an indictment. So, Dave Turmel, the hunt for Canada's most wanted man. Crazy. Let's get to it. Only 18 minutes.
And the identity of the man running it. The Blood Family Mafia, police say, is led by Quebec City Police Sunday morning, confirming the criminal organization thereafter and the identity of the man running it. The Blood Family Mafia, police say, is led by Dave Turmel, a 27-year-old from the Quebec City region, right now on the run. Les pieds dans l'eau, au bord de la mer. Demain je drop, il faut une maison pour la mer. Faut battre le fer quand il est chaud. Dis-moi que les motards c'est des salopes. Ah non, c'est des salopes. Dis-moi que tu vas travailler pour BFM. Ouais.
Let's give you a quick translation.
Faut battre le fer quand il est chaud. Dis-moi que les motards.
Des sympathies de L torture. Oh. So these are like Hells Angels people getting tortured. Envoyer okay, I'm going to try to do my reading in French and then I'll translate. Envoyer des lits de l'heure, de moi que les motards, c'est des salopes. Les motards, c'est des salopes. So they're making them say that bikers are sluts. Okay, I'm not saying this. This is what they're making the bikers say.
Dis-moi que tu vas travailler pour BFM.
Dis-moi que tu veux okay, dis-moi que tu vas travailler pour BFM. All right, Blood Mafia family. Je vais travailler pour BFM. So basically, y'all get that. You guys can understand that. He's saying, he's trying to tell them, he's telling the guy, say that you want to work for BFM, and then that's what the person responded. Okay, I don't have to translate that. Don't tell me none of you guys remembered any of your French from high school. Okay, and Underground Nation, I'm not asking you. I know you're fluent in French. It's actually make my skin crawl.
Quebec City might look calm and historic on the outside, but behind the scenes, a whole different story was playing out, one that puts the city in the national spotlight.
A 28-year-old man from Saguenay, 200 kilometers north of Quebec City, was found right here in Montreal's Rosemont overnight with his finger and toe cut off after a possible kidnapping linked to drug trafficking. This comes amid increased violence related to street gangs in the province, particularly the Quebec City and Montreal regions.
At the center of it is Dave Turmel, better known on the streets as Pick. Turmel, now 28 years old, is the alleged leader of the Blood Family Mafia, a street gang born in Quebec City that grew into one of the province's most feared crews. For more than a year, he was on the run, topping Canada's most wanted list, with police calling him the man at the center of a violent turf war against the Hells Angels. The violence tied to Turmel's gang reached such extremes that even seasoned Hells Angels members admitted to police they feared for the safety of their own families. According to investigators, as many
I will say this also because I don't want to get into any problems. These are the views and opinions of, and this is based on the research that Six Tails did. I'm just reacting to what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? Whew. It's crazy though.
As 30 high-ranking bikers were told they were on a hit list. Behind the scenes, there were even rumors that the Hells Angels, usually the ones to be feared, went to the police themselves, saying, "You've got to do something about these people, they're crazy." After a failed attempt in February to kidnap Hells Angels members and their families, the heat on Turmel only intensified. Word spread that a contract had been placed on his life. What started as a $500,000 bounty was now doubled to $1 million. On top of that, the Canadian government announced a $250,000 reward for information leading to his capture. With those
Now, the last time that we covered this, right? And let me just go back to this Bolo pick here. The last time that we covered this, which was months ago, right? We spoke about the $250,000 reward that he had from the Bolo stuff, the be on the lookout stuff. But what we didn't speak about and what we didn't find out about was the $1 million. All right. 3 times the amount they had on his head in the streets to try to get this guy. So if you couldn't get a Bolo for $250,000, if you're somebody who's willing to go above and beyond the law, you can get $1 million for this guy. Mod thing.
$50,000 reward for information leading to his capture. With those price tags, Turmel wasn't just a target in Quebec's underworld, he'd become one of the most wanted men in the country. In this documentary, we'll trace the rise of Dave Turmel, the man who went from street-level hustler to the Hells Angels' most feared rival, and how Canadian law enforcement ultimately hunted him down as the nation's most wanted fugitive. Before we continue this story, I want to take a minute for a paid partnership with BetterHelp. Lately, with over 7,000 reviews and Turmel's early life remains mostly private, but what we do know paints a picture of someone drawn into violence from a young age. He was born on May 3, 1996, in Lévis, just across the river from Quebec City. By the time he turned 18, his life was already tied to crime.
These guys are 18 years old or are already throwing up blood signs. This is not Toronto, all right?
Just across the river from Quebec City. By the time
This is not Toronto. This is not even Montreal, dog. This is in Lévis. This is near Quebec City. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know where shit goes down, bro.
Turned 18, his life was already tied to crime. On his birthday in May 2014, a fight outside a bar ended with 2 men stabbed, one in the ribs and hip, the other in the lung. Turmel was charged with attempted murder and sent to prison for 3 years.
Damn.
Inside, guards caught him with a homemade shank, an improvised ice pick, and that's where the nickname Ice Pick stuck. After his release, the cycle continued. In 2018, he was arrested for threatening a man with a baseball bat. 1 year later, he was caught with a loaded .45 caliber pistol and sent back
Yo, fam, I had a whole podcast already started by this point.
to prison. Now 27, Turmel has already spent roughly 4 years of his adult life behind bars, and each time he came out, his reputation on the street only seemed to grow stronger. This is where the Blood Family Mafia comes into play. The Blood Family Mafia, otherwise known as BFM, wasn't just some random street gang that popped up overnight. They go back to the mid-2000s, starting in the neighborhoods of the St. Lawrence River Valley, where a mix of young hustlers, many of them teenagers at the time, came together around drugs and quick money. At first, they weren't seen as a major threat. Quebec's underworld
All these places that they're talking about too, these are not in the inner cities of these places. These are like country towns, suburbs. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, not suburbs where it's like a bunch of rich people, but like a lot of houses. Like the average house in Montreal, you're not paying $1 million for. Like some of the houses that you'll pay $1 million for over here in Toronto. All right, just to give you guys a little bit of context, some of the houses that you'll be paying $1 million over here for in Toronto, you're getting for like 200,000 in Montreal. All right, so the real estate is way different. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are living in like these 3-story apartment buildings, 4-story apartment buildings in these different places, like friggin' La Prairie and all these different areas. Like it don't be like the most grimiest hood. It just be these little what we call it, white trash towns. You feel me? With all due respect, like little small towns. They go to the dépanneur, which is the corner store, buy their cigarettes and some freaking Pepsis, go back home, get some lottery tickets. They're not rich by any means. You know what I'm saying? Like they're broke as shit, but just like a bunch of broke white people, like in these little small towns. You know what I'm saying? That produce like these wild ass gangsters. Trailer park, thank you. Like almost trailer park. Like there isn't actual trailer parks, but it would be the equivalent of where the trailer park boys are, like those type of people from over there in like Nova Scotia and New Brunswick and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And there is probably some trailers over there in Quebec too, you know, in Hull and all these different places.
was still dominated by the Hells Angels, with bikers controlling most of the cocaine and meth pipelines, and the Italian mob pulling strings behind the scenes. For a while, BFM operated in the shadows, selling locally and moving quietly. But as the gang grew, their reputation began to change. They weren't just another crew paying tribute to the bikers. They wanted their own piece of the drug trade and, eventually, full control of it in parts of eastern Quebec. By 2023, with the backing of Montreal's Sicilian Rizzuto mob, Dave Turmel consolidated smaller street gangs under the BFM name and openly pushed back against the Hells Angels' 10% drug tax.
That's another thing too, right? These guys got backing from the mob. And as somebody who grew up in Montreal, that's one thing I learned from a long time ago, that the mob, and I'm sure it's not a secret, like the mob controls a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? I remember my teachers telling me back in the days, like when I was in friggin' high school, they were like, yo, if you open a business over here and you don't tap in with certain, my teacher told me this, and you don't tap in with certain families out here and get your cheese from them and shit like that, you end up going flying out through the window of your business in one day. I was like, wow, why are you telling me this? I was hella young when I found this shit out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even want to name he gave me the name of a cheese company that is like connected to like the mob out there, right? The man's probably passed away by now. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'll just like, he used to tell us some real shit in class. He's like, yo, if you get that, I'm not even gonna say the name of the cheese. I don't want no problems. But he was like, if you get that such and such cheese, or if you don't get that such and such cheese for your restaurant, Lights out. No, Michael official. It isn't that. I'm not even gonna give a hint, bro. I'm not fucking with these niggas out here. Let's just watch the YouTube video.
Hell's Angels didn't take kindly to Termel's defiance. By March of that year, he found a GPS tracker hidden on his SUV.
See how these men are moving, putting the GPS trackers on the cars and ting, bumba club.
Chilling reminder that someone was watching his every move. But Icepick wasn't fazed. He retaliated by spraying bullets into the home of Matt Pelletier, his former partner in the drug and pimping game, and son of Quebec
Pelletier.
City's Hell's Angels founder, Mark Pelletier. The violence only escalated from there. In November 2023, Michael Dooney Guerin, the Angels' top enforcer in charge of...
I was about to say I was going to correct his pronunciation, but he's good.
...collecting that 10% street tax, was gunned down while shoveling snow in his own front yard. By the summer, the Crown had indicted Termel, and he bolted for Europe. Over the next 16 months on the run, he reportedly moved through Portugal and into North Africa, dodging RCMP and Interpol while still calling the shots back home.
So we found out all of this stuff from the last time that we did some coverage on this, right? So let me forward a bit. That he ended up going over to Europe and hiding out over there, and then some of his bosses kept it going. You know what I'm saying?
Forefront. As the now alleged leader, he became the face of BFM's defiance against the Hells Angels. His move to stop paying the 10% drug tax wasn't just about money, it was a statement. BFM wasn't going to live under biker rule anymore, and the Angels knew this wasn't just another gang member making noise. They didn't want an all-out war with Termel, not if it could be avoided. So, they tried to broker peace. The Angels sent veteran member Mario Augier, who is currently incarcerated facing his own drugs and gun case, to meet with Termel, offering what seemed like a golden deal. They promised him control over Charlesburg and Lévis, his own hometown. For the first time in nearly 25 years, the Hells Angels were willing to give up some of their drug market territory. They even offered to exempt BFM from paying the notorious 10% drug tax, and even when...
Not to keep on stopping the video, but it is a reaction. These guys are not fighting over just the inner cities. They're not fighting over what's going on in Montreal, like the island of Montreal itself, right? Or the West Island or Laval or different places. Don't get me wrong. They're fighting over that territory too. But they're fighting over the small town. That's Lévis is one of their freaking drug territories. That's crazy when I take it in like that. Like, these places are so down bad that they have enough fiends that it's worth fighting about. You know what I'm saying? So it don't always be the inner city that guys are over there fighting for territory in. It'd be some of these small ass towns that they're just like doing mad meth and all these other drugs and shit. You know what I'm saying?
So far as to say they'd forget about the alleged theft of 28 kilos of cocaine, worth around $1.5 million, that BFM had supposedly snatched from them. On paper, it was a historic truce that could have saved lives and cemented Termel's power without further bloodshed. But when word of the deal reached him in exile, Termel wasn't having it. His answer was simple: fuck that. He wasn't interested in compromise, he wasn't interested in biker permission slips, and he sure as hell wasn't going to bow to men he saw as old kings of a fading empire. Termel made it clear he would operate on his own terms. That statement brought heat like never before. Suddenly the gang wasn't just beefing with rivals on the street. They were in a full-scale feud with the Hells Angels, the most entrenched criminal organization in Quebec. The war didn't stay hidden. By 2023, Quebec police were calling it one of the bloodiest conflicts the province had seen in years. Turf wars, shootings, kidnappings, whole neighborhoods were caught in the crossfire. And
they're gonna go through a list of just the bloodshed that went down in this shit. All right, hold on. Yeah, let's let them go through the list. It goes crazy.
Just back alley business anymore. Termel's people were making bold, out in the open moves. Properties and businesses tied to the Hells Angels were torched. Warehouses with Angels tenants went up in flames.
Crazy.
Even a massage parlor and strip club connected to the bikers were burned to the ground. But what really set the Blood family mafia apart wasn't just their refusal to pay the Hells Angels tax, it was the way they enforced their authority. Instead of sticking to traditional street beefs, they weaponized fear. Videos began surfacing online showing
I gotta let that breathe for a second. Cause these niggas are so savage. They started letting they're like, we're gonna fuck up the place and we're gonna send you videos of us fucking your people up. Mud
Victims being tortured, ears cut off, feet burned, even limbs amputated.
Oh.
In one clip obtained by the Journal de Montreal, masked attackers mutilated a man with a knife and blowtorch, forcing him to blame the Hells Angels for his suffering.
This is what I translated in the beginning.
These weren't random acts of cruelty, they were calculated messages. For BFM, violence wasn't just about collecting debts, it was a brand. And it worked. On the streets of Quebec City,
I wonder if
the
he
name
got this monetized, because that is crazy.
spread fast, with people describing them as untouchable. Police and criminologists openly compared their tactics to Mexican cartels, noting how rare it was for a Canadian street gang to embrace brutality on this level.
More striking when you see barbaric stuff like this done. It's very
These niggas is getting compared to the Mexican cartel, bro. Holy.
preoccupying because these guys, they use violence, they use fear to control their very lucrative illegal business.
By the end of 2023, BFM had cemented its reputation as one of the most violent and feared criminal organizations in Canada.
I'm not gonna lie to you. And Carol says if Friday didn't move to Toronto, he would have been in the mafia. When I was younger, I wasn't in the mafia or in the Angels or anything like that. But when I was younger and I first got on the roads, when I first got my feet wet on these roads, the men who I was working for were black men. But there's no way that you could live in Montreal and be out there moving around and doing your thing without moving up the ladder and having to get your work from somebody who's either part of the mob or part of the bikers at some point in time. So if I still lived in Montreal and I was able to start growing up and living my street life, I spent the majority of my 20s in the streets over here in Toronto, and a big part of my 30s too. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? But if I was out there progressing and evolving in the streets in Montreal, it'll just take not even a level. It just takes a level and a half up. And you're like, boop, okay, so my boss is a biker. Or, okay, my boss is a freaking mob guy. You ain't going to be able to go out there and try to get real rich without having to go and deal with one of these guys. So you're right. I probably would have been. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta thank God I moved to Toronto, because like it or not, even if people don't like it, and I know there's a lot of organized crime over here too, so let's not get that twisted. But it's not the same over here. You can come out here, the city's so big, you can go to downtown. You can't even go downtown in Montreal and think that you can be getting some shit off. We've been chased by bikers back in Montreal when we were young, just for trying to get a couple of dime bags and shit off. You feel me? So you ain't gonna get away with trying to just be a low-level dealer even in Montreal like that. But when I came to Toronto, it was like free for all. I wasn't in specific people's hoods. You know what I'm saying? I was able to get a pass to move around through Parkdale because that's the hood. But as far as downtown, like Yonge Street, you ain't got to have no pass to run around Yonge Street. Even if it comes to the friggin' guys who live in region and stuff, they ain't stopping you from standing up on Yonge Street and getting your money. And I'm not trying to encourage anything, because that's back in the days. People don't stand up on road no more. But back in them days, you couldn't get that shit. I couldn't get that shit off in Montreal. So salute to Toronto for having that kind of an open market. I don't even know if it's a salute, but for them times when I was on road, I got to salute to Toronto, because shit, I needed to get a little extra change out here. You feel me? Carol said Toronto's entrepreneur friendly. Yes, at least downtown. You can't just go up into the ends. You can't just go into Malvern and be acting like you want to go move some work over there. Niggas will run you off the block. You know what I'm saying? But shit, I got away with moving some work by like Young and freaking not Young and Dundas, Sherbert and Dundas, like back in like 93. And we did have a couple of issues, but me and the homies, we made money for like a week straight. Nobody bothered us. Ain't nobody said shit. We made friends. So that shit ain't happened in Montreal. Like, put it that way. Montreal niggas, me and my homies back in the days before I even moved here, right? Because I moved here in 97. I'm talking about 93. We went OT over here to Toronto to get some work off because we weren't going to be able to just get the work off over there in Montreal without having to freaking ask for a place to get it off. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about way back in time. So it is what it is. Just a little quick sidetrack.
Canada. But less than a year later, by September 2024, the situation had completely spiraled out of control. A wave of BFM-led arsons and shootings in eastern Quebec, combined with the killing of a Hells Angels-connected drug dealer accused of disloyalty, pushed tensions to a breaking point. The final straw came with the gruesome discovery of a 14-year-old BFM affiliate's burnt corpse outside the Red Devils motorcycle clubhouse in Frampton.
Just hours later, police were called to a biker bunker about a kilometer away. It's the clubhouse of the Red Devils motorcycle gang, a group affiliated with the Hells Angels. There, they found what is being described as a dismembered body. The identification of the corpse was done at the police lab in Montreal. The body was so badly mutilated, it was ID'd by dental records.
Sorry to keep on stopping this. I just got to let it breathe for a second. Oh, my Lord Jesus. Rich Long, I'm from the South Shore, South Side. Brossard.
It turned out to be a 14-year-old boy. He was, according to reports, a member of a Montreal street gang, the EGK, Everybody Gets Killed. The teen would be hired to attack or intimidate the bike.
Everybody get killed.
Is still uncertain.
Police believe
a Montreal street gang, the EGK, Everybody Gets Killed. The teen would have been hired to attack or intimidate the bikers. How he died is still uncertain.
Police believe the boy, linked to St. Leonard's EGK gang, short for Everybody Gets Killed, had set out with another teen armed with AK-47s and arson supplies to strike the Red Devils.
Name of the gang is like straight to the point. Everybody gets You know what I'm saying? Just in case you didn't know, right? Not to try to be elusive or anything, like just everybody gets. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying that I'm just stating the obvious. Like that name is crazy.
Whatever happened inside that clubhouse, it didn't go the way the kids expected. The accomplice fled. Their car was later found torched along Route 112 with 2 melted rifles inside, and the body of the 14-year-old victim was discovered nearby, mangled and burned almost beyond recognition. Authorities think some of the wounds may have
guys fucked up a 14-year-old that bad, bro. Holy.
Even been self-inflicted, possibly caused by a dropped Molotov cocktail. While St. Leonard rapper and known EGK affiliate VT publicly claimed the boy wasn't in a gang and threatened to sue TVA News for defamation, investigators painted a darker picture. Teenagers are being handed military-grade weapons and used as pawns in a gang war. The outrage this sparked was massive, both in the public and within the biker world.
Jesus
On September
Christ.
29, 2024, Michel Sky Langlois, founding father of the Montreal Hells Angels, convened an emergency meeting at the Main Tribe Motorcycle Club's clubhouse in Bécancour. Langlois even arrived.
According to this now, they're going to get into how these guys had to get all of the gangs together and be like, we need to stop these BFM niggas. Like, they're going crazy.
By plane, flanked by lieutenants and bodyguards. Representatives from Sherbrooke, Quebec, and his South Shore crew were all in attendance. According to the Dirty News Crime blog, the meeting brought together some of the most seasoned and still active Hells Angels generals, men who had lived through the infamous Rock Machine War of the 1990s, which left 162 people dead, some of which were civilians. They knew this had the makings of history repeating itself. But there was a problem. In the past, Canadian prosecutors had used the Hells Angels' internal votes on retaliation as evidence of organized conspiracy, landing patch holders years in prison. The club faced an impossible decision: respond to BFM's attacks and risk another decade-long biker war, or do nothing and watch their reputation crumble. And while the bikers debated their next move, police were quietly closing in on the man who had sparked the conflict, Dave Pick Turmel.
So y'all see that scenario right there? Like the catch-22 that these guys were under, like, all right, we got to get together, or we would like to get together and get the crews together and figure out a way where we can stop the bloodshed, because if we let this shit continue, it's going to go back to that 1991 shit where 161 people died. Insanity. Okay? But the only problem they got is if we link up to talk about how we're going to retaliate or how we're going to slow this down or whatever, if we link up to try to quell the violence, it's a crazy catch-22, because they, even if they might want to use violence in order to like stop the violence, like, oh, we might have to just kill off the heads or a couple of, I don't know what their plans are. I'm not a mobster, but they're like, yo, we need to figure some shit out to make it so we don't get as many bodies. But if we do that, if we link up, they're going to be all up in our, you know, the feds are going to be all up in our shit. So we can't even do that. And then if they go and do the latter, then they're obviously going to catch an M. So it's like, hands are tied, bro. That's kind of insane. Hold on. 6 Real says, now the war is settled because all the big mans are locked now. No, it's not done. It's slowed down, but apparently it's not done.
Canada's most wanted criminal, Dave Pick Turmel, has been arrested in Italy. Police say Turmel is the alleged leader of the Blood Family Mafia, a street gang that has been involved in brutal drug turf wars throughout the province of Quebec.
On March 27, 2025, Turmel's run came to an end. The young gang leader had been apprehended in Rome after an ally of Turmel gave up his location to claim the $250,000 bolo reward for any information leading up to the kingpins.
So I'm not going to replay all this part because we covered all of this, of him getting locked up in Italy. He got locked up in an apartment building that he had there, like a luxury apartment building that he was living in Italy. What ended up happening, or what they're alleging, is that some of his peoples gave him up. As far as for the $250,000 reward.
Or settled in the gang's internal power plays. Worse, the gang has started turning on its own. One example is Maxime Maheu, a 25-year-old tied to BFM who flipped and cooperated with police. Weeks after being sentenced to 5 years for arson and assault, Maheu was found in his cell so badly beaten that guards could...
Let me make sure to give some correction for sure. Says trust is slowed down like crazy. You can't take the hells out. They work with the feds to keep control. I don't know about all that, but I know it has slowed down exponentially. But what I am saying is they still have members that are out on road that they haven't been able to capture yet, that they're going to get to in this video yet here. That's what I need to say. I want to make sure I'm very specific. You know what I'm saying? But there's still a couple. They got the big man, Dave Turmel, but there's still other members that are still on road. It's not like their crew's completely out of here. Like BFM is not done.
Couldn't even recognize him. His fingers were broken, his face shattered, and he suffered multiple fractures. 6 inmates were later charged in the assault, one with attempted murder. And as if that weren't enough, BFM's presence inside Quebec jails has escalated into open warfare with staff. On a Monday evening in March, officers reported a drone flying toward the Quebec City Detention Center carrying...
They got bare BFM men in jail, and they just got the jail a ways. Like they're terrorizing the jail from what they're saying here.
A large package for the BFM wing, home to around 40 of the gang's members. Inmates smashed their cell windows, sprayed guards with pepper spray, and tried to reel in the drone with a pole, turning the sector into what officers later described as a riot. One correctional officer admitted
they really wanted the package out of that drone.
They've come to expect stabbings whenever they step in to confront the gang. For law enforcement, these incidents prove a harsh truth. Even locked up, BFM hasn't lost its grip on violence.
Told y'all. Yo, bro, in the jails, these guys said they have to make sure that they, as soon as they step on the range, the guards, that, you know, they got to look out for getting stabbed on a weekly basis. Like, holy, these guys have no respect for the guards. I did a story on Millhaven. They punched the one guardie in the face and they terrorized the freaking jail for 48 hours straight. These niggas in Montreal are stabbing guards, bro. Like, yo, pusso, yo. They're not even speaking patois. They're like, yo, man, you think you're sick, man? Huh. Stabbing the damn guards, bro. These guys have to wear the stab-proof vest for sure. Never forget to wear their vest when they do their rounds and shit, bro. It's a mud thing, bro.
For investigators, the arrest of Dave Turmel closed one chapter, but the story wasn't over. Remember, Turmel had spent more than a year directing BFM from abroad, even as his name was plastered across Canada on wanted posters through the BOLO program. Authorities described him as ruthless, willing to do anything to control the drug trade in eastern Quebec, and they warned that as long as his allies remained free, the violence wouldn't stop. His closest lieutenant, A.W.O.L Boivin, was next on the radar. Considered Turmel's right-hand man and with him locked away, Boivin is currently ranked as Canada's most wanted fugitive. Boivin grew up in the same Quebec City area, earning a reputation as a reliable enforcer who didn't hesitate to use violence when money or loyalty was.
This is the pretty boy lieutenant that we covered in the last video. And when I do the segment for this, I'm going to put the last video also in the end screen. You know what I'm saying? But we did a video on this earlier and we talked about this guy. He's like the pretty boy enforcer guy and also the brains too. Like the man them had a team, you know what I'm saying? Like a smart team.
On the line. Police say he was deeply embedded in BFM's drug trade and played a key role in the kidnappings, extortion schemes, and intimidation tactics that made the gang notorious. Investigators believe that while Turmel ran things from Portugal and later Italy, Boivin kept operations moving on the ground, making him a crucial piece in BFM's power structure. Even as police launched massive crackdowns, projects like Malsain and Scandaloo, their influence held. Dozens of members were arrested, but the gang itself wasn't destroyed. Police would later admit that as long as leaders like Turmel and Boivin were in play, the Blood family mafia would keep finding ways to operate. For the younger generation of street soldiers, Ice Pick had become a symbol, someone who challenged the decades-long grip of the Hells Angels and proved that a local street gang could stand up to the old order. Whether his fall marks the end of the Blood family mafia's rise, or just the pause before someone else steps up, is a question Quebec's underworld will have to answer. And with all Boivin still on the run, it's clear this story is far from finished.
Woo! Yo, listen, man, some scary shit. That's all I gotta say. Scary shit. It seems like when I'm watching this, when I watched it back, especially after seeing Six Tails breakdown. And listen, y'all go check out Six Tails channel, man. One of the best channels in the GTA. Okay, top 2 in the GTA. It's We Love Hip Hop and Six Tails, and I'm not gonna say what order. All right, they obviously get way more views than us because like they put out a documentary like once, maybe twice a month, strictly crazy crime shit. But go tap into their channel. You know what I'm saying? That's the homie behind the scenes too. They've definitely used different parts of We Love Hip Hop content and credited us properly. And I've had multiple conversations with him behind the scenes, like, or him or her. I don't know. I've never like heard any voices, but yeah, go check out this channel if you ever want to see some real sick documentaries. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out these other videos on the screen and make sure to like and subscribe.
We love hip hop.